Howdy folks, you're watching Deuce, and today what we're going to talk about is my new carry pistol, the SCCY Pistol. It is the CXP2 version or model from SCCY Pistols, and it's chambered 9mm, holds 10 rounds, and conceals very, very well. Of course, I have my suspenders on and stuff, so I don't have anything to conceal over it, but I'll show you that right now where I can conceal this very easily and still holds the impact power of 10 rounds of 9mm ammo. For 2 weeks now, I have been using it as my primary concealed carry weapon, and it has been able to be concealed in pretty much t-shirt and shorts, t-shirt and jeans with no problems whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and shoot steel today. I don't shoot steel as much as I'd like to, but man, I'll have a lot of fun when I do. Now today I'm going to be shooting all kinds of different ammo through this. The SCCY instructions say to not use steel case ammo in it because it may not feed correctly. Not because it's going to damage the firearm, because it will not, but it may not feed correctly because brass is a lot more slippery in a magazine than steel cases. That's just kind of a fact of life. But so far I have put like 100 rounds of this steel cased ammo from Winchester through it without any problems whatsoever. Here we go, I got 10+1 in here. It is in my very cheaply purchased in the waistband holster. Got several pieces of steel up, ready to get rung. All right, here we go. There we go. I missed a few of those because I'm not really super familiar with the firearm just yet. I probably shouldn't be using it as my concealed carry weapon just yet, but I am because I'm shooting way further than a normal combat situation as far as a concealed carry weapons permit holder goes. And by the way, I'm going to try out for the first time in the SCCY Pistol my super low power 9mm reloads here that I use for competition. This is a cast lead bullet, and it is right on the very cusp of operating a Glock, which means for low recoil situations in competition. So I've got 10+1 of that in the SCCY Pistol. See how it handles it, because not all pistols like this. Even really good pistols may not like this round. So let's test this out here. All right, here we go. Not bad. Not bad at all. Oh yeah, and the mags do drop free. Pretty dang good little pistol here. Pretty dang good looking pistol. I've been carrying it with the pinky extension right there, as you can see. And it sinks right in and disappears. And of course I can do that because I have a concealed weapons permit, handgun permit, from the state of Tennessee. I was one of the first years they offered it back in the late 90s. I was in line for it, and so was my wife. So I have a lot of experience carrying a firearm in public, and this thing carries very nicely. Let's go ahead and I want to get a little more comfortable here, and we're going to take a closer look at it on the bench. The unboxing experience is pretty nice. I will show you that right here. It is a pretty nice unboxing experience, and the instruction manual is a nice glossy little book here with all the information, all the lube points that you need. It's basically a well thought out product, and it feels that way from the factory. So you open it up and you get the option to change out both of these magazines with either the flat or the pinky rest style base plate there. It's a well thought out designed product. If you've watched any of my other reviews, you will know that I don't pull punches. I will always find something wrong with a product. There's no such thing as a perfect product. A perfectly engineered and perfectly built product will be too expensive or be overly priced. And if it's not overly priced, there was a corner cut somewhere, and I will find that corner. I promise you that. There's really only one glaring bad thing about this pistol, and it's kind of an elephant in the room. There's a couple of little nitpicky things, but for the most part, this trigger, the trigger, let's just throw that out there. The trigger is so very, very long and heavy. It is a very, very long double action revolver trigger. It is heavy, it's smooth, it's like an older Smith & Wesson that's not been broken in yet. If you could find an old Smith & Wesson revolver that has not been broken in yet, that's still really tight or has been rebuilt with new springs, that's the kind of trigger that we're talking about here. Very, very long and a very stiff trigger. Now, I believe there are some spring kits out there. I'm not sure what they do to the reliability of the pistol, but there are some spring kits out there, I believe, that will either shorten the reset or lighten the trigger itself. Now, another thing is that the trigger reset is almost at the full extension. So you got that, it is fired. That's still not reset, that's still not reset. Click. Now, if you want to compare this to a very popular pistol out there, the Ruger LCP. The Ruger LCP is very much like this. It might be a little bit lighter in the trigger. Trigger's not quite as long or heavy, but it is very similar in weight and feel. Luckily, this pistol has a little more grip surface and a larger trigger because it's a larger pistol overall. It's slightly bigger than the Smith & Wesson Shield, so it's a little bit bigger than that. It's a little bit thicker than that. As far as overall size goes, it's about the same size overall. I found it just as easy, if not more easy, to conceal than my Smith & Wesson Shield. A nitpicky gripe is the fact that the rear sight, the corner of the rear sight, is kind of sharp. It's not sharp to the touch, but it is pointed just enough to the point where if you have a in the waistband holster that does not cover that sight, you can see right there, that will eventually dig into your stomach, dig into your side pretty significantly. So if you do buy a SCCY pistol, I highly recommend to find an inside the waistband holster that will at least protect you from that rear sight. And now let's go over the good things, which there's a list a mile long of good things about the SCCY pistol. Number one is that it is fairly lightweight, especially when you factor in the fact that it holds 10 rounds of 9mm. Now they have a slightly smaller, slightly thinner, slightly lighter version that uses 380. And I thought about going that route as well, but I decided, 9mm is so cheap, so easy to find, and so versatile that I have a hard time bumping down to 380, even though 380 has been proven by the FBI stats and everything to be completely capable as a concealed carry weapon caliber. Like any good pistol, it has a last round hold open on the magazine on empty mag. Shoot that last round, the course slide locks back. You have the drop mag, drop slide, and you're back in action. One of the few good things about having this long double action only trigger mechanism is the fact you have second strike capability. Every now and again, no matter how high quality of ammo you buy, eventually you will run into a primer that does not go off. And if the primer doesn't go off, you've got two options to think of real quickly. You can either rack the slide, get that old ammo out of there, put a new round in, and hopefully that fires. Or you can do a second strike. Doesn't go off, you can keep on shooting that primer. If you got a hard primer, have you ever heard of hard primers? A lot of Soviet primers are a little bit harder than normal. And sometimes the spring has a little dirt in it, or the firing pin channel has some crud in it or whatever, and slowing down that firing pin. So when it does contact the primer, it doesn't have enough oomph to set it off. But the second time it's going to go in that crater that it made the first time, and you could make it go off on the second round. So second strike capability, I personally don't really care that much about it, but some shooters, that is a very important factor and will lead people to purchase one firearm over another with the second strike capability. I put off picking up a SCCY pistol for a very long time, for years after I learned about them and got to play with them a little bit. And for two reasons I didn't buy them immediately. Number one was of course, the trigger, which I'm still not a fan of, but I understand why it's there. And the second reason was the over-exaggerated finger grooves. These work really, really well. You get it out, you pick it up at the bench in the gun store, and you handle it. It feels okay. It feels okay. It doesn't feel as rock solid as what you think it does, but you take it to the range, and it really does become part of your hand. It really does a good job of being cemented in your hand. Now, I did not add any kind of like grip tape or anything on this, but it feels like that I did. I even tried to limp wrist it a few times to see if I could get it to stovepipe or something of that nature, or fail to feed. It wouldn't even limp wrist. I could not get this thing to limp wrist without, I mean, I could have, but one of the factors is you can't really limp wrist it that much with that heavy trigger. You're going to have to grasp onto it to a degree harder than say a Glock or something, just to get the trigger to go back. You've got to put at least 10 pounds of pressure going forward to be able to pull 10-pound trigger back. I put about 250 rounds through this over this whole testing, and I did not have one single jam, one single fail to feed, one single fail to eject, nothing. So this is the first several magazines that I shot through this. This is I took a gun that I cleaned and lubed and that was it, and then took it to the range. This is the first, I believe, three magazines, maybe 4. I can't remember how many I shot that day, but these are all 4-inch circles. And yeah, there's a scattering about because I was still getting used to the trigger. I was getting used to pretty much everything. But also, this is not a competition weapon. This is meant for protection. This is not meant to fire the thousands of rounds, which it could. It could. There's nothing in here that to wear out. That's the reason why they use that trigger versus a more common single action trigger, is because it is more simplistic, it's cheaper to make, cheaper to maintain, and it is reliable as all get out. Got my visual laid out here, my Hi-Point C9. Not even a great steak dinner, but just a average steak dinner separates the cost between a Hi-Point C9 and a SCCY CPX2. I mean, that's a heck of a lot of difference between that. This holds 3 more rounds and probably weighs almost half as much. You can get the slide, either a normal polished stainless, not really polished, but satin stainless finish, or this black finish that's on top of the stainless slide. And you can get a huge assortment of grips. They've got like bright blaze orange, they have pink, purple, they have, of course, black and grays and OD greens and all that stuff. They have a whole multitude of frame colors. So in the end, do I like the SCCY Pistol? I do. It is a great value for the money. You get a lot of pistol, a lot of features, a lot of function for a very, very small price, which is one of the things that I'm really looking for in anything I buy, is that I get a good value. And this is a good value. Now keep in mind that this is the CPX2 version. There is a CPX1 and a CPX3. I have no idea how those function. They could be completely different, but I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they all operate on the same engineering principles as the CPX2. Well guys, if you want to stay on the Deuce and Guns channel, go ahead and click on one of these 2 videos right over here, and that'll keep you watching away. If you like this video and you want to see more, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe, because all that really helps out the channel. If you have any comments, questions, or show ideas, leave that in the comment box for the video. And as always, you guys have a great day. See ya.